Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Nun II. The Nun II is the 9th installment in the Conjuring franchise, and this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. The Conjuring, the first film, is one of my favorite movies, so I was excited to check it out. The first film fell a little flat for me, but I think this movie takes the things that work well in that movie and elevate it to another level. It may not be a top-tier film, but I do think it's better than that first one. We have some returning characters in Sister Irene and Maurice, and in this movie we have Sister Irene trying to stop the demonic nun once again. We think it's defeated in the first film, but obviously this continues, and there are some hints of it maybe continuing in the future after this movie. Things that worked well in the first film are again in this one. Both the setting and the atmosphere are very well produced. The set design looks really good. It really adds that creepy ambience of the time period and that religious symbolism. When you make movies that are like religious horror films, you really need to hang your hat on that imagery because it's what's so powerful, the ultimate good versus evil, and we have that in this one. The nun is creepy as always. That character design is just unnerving to watch, and they really kind of ratcheted it up a notch in this one. There's actually some clever use of setting when it comes to the nun where she's kind of blending into the environment, and they use it multiple times in the film, and I think those scenes were really interesting to watch. It does have kind of its classic jump scare formula, so it's not really doing anything to reinvent the wheel, but I think some of the jump scares are unique and they will get you a couple times. The new characters that are introduced in this story don't really add anything, and they kind of just cannon fodder for the nun. You do get some kind of heartfelt moments with the children in the film, but it never feels like they're really elevating it beyond just Maurice and kind of Sister Irene kind of carrying the weight of the movie. Sister Irene also even has another nun that's with her on this journey, and I really thought she was going to have more to do in the film because they kind of make her character seem very interesting, very different, an outsider in this world. And while she does have some moments to shine, she really takes a back seat by the third act. And that would probably be my main criticism of this movie, is kind of the structure of the third act. The first act of the film I found really compelling, really interesting what's happening. There's some really dark and gritty and kind of grotesque moments that you expect from a horror film. And by the time you get to the third act of this movie, it's just off the rails, ridiculous. They're just throwing everything in the kitchen sink, a ton of twists and turns that really don't make a ton of sense. It just feels like they're just kind of just trying to throw anything into this movie. I will say, like a lot of the Conjuring films, the visual effects and the practical effects do look really good. It doesn't look like a cheap movie, and I would never say that this movie is boring in particular. The first film I felt like had some really slog pacing moments in it that made it just feel slow and dull. This one does have a lot more action, a lot more happening, and it is linking into the bigger Conjuring universe as you'd expect. So I will say it will be interesting to see if they continue with this franchise. Obviously, we've gotten more than 2 Annabelle films, more than 2 Conjuring films, so maybe this will continue. I know the box office was okay, but for this kind of movie, it doesn't need to have a huge box office. And obviously, we know this links in with the Warrens later on, with them fighting the nun themselves, and also Maurice and his possession of them, their kind of involvement in that. So I'll be interested to see how they tie it all together if they decide to go that route. So if I were to rate The Nun II, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's an above average horror movie. It's not incredible. It's not a top tier Conjuring film. I wouldn't put it anywhere up close to the first Conjuring movie, but I do think it's slightly better than the first Nun. So if you checked out The Nun II, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it as much as me? Did you like it less? And also, where does it rank for the Conjuring films for you? Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.